Hello, my name is Maritza Sotomayor, and I see kind of faces that I recognize from my classes. Hello. It's a pleasure to introduce to our Honorary Consul of Peru here in Utah, Mr. David Utrilla, and I will just read his bio, what's short bio here, just that you have more information about him. David was born and raised in Lima, Peru. In Lima, he studied international business and economics. In 1994, David immigrated to the United States and enrolled at Weber State University in Ogden. In 1995, he founded U.S. Translation Company, USTC, is certified and registered as well as SBA language headquarters in Salt Lake City, Utah. Since 1995, the company provides high-quality document translation services as well as full service interpretation solutions in over 100 languages for organizations around the world. Some of its clients include Mitsubishi, GBT, Aerotech, Maximums, Infantino, Nuskin, Symantec, Novartis, and the U.S. Navy. Additionally, USTC provides top quality language training for the U.S. military. David was recognized as one of the 2009 top 40 business executive under 40 in Utah, and in 2008, top 20 most influential Hispanic business leaders in Utah, and was awarded the SBA 2008 Small Business Person of the Year for the state of Utah, where he went to Washington, D.C. and shook hands with President Bush at the White House. David is also the chair-elect of the Utah Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. In 2009, David was appointed by the President of Peru as the Honorary Consul of Peru in Utah. He opened and oversees the Peruvian consulates in Salt Lake City, serving the second largest immigrant population in the state of Utah. Now you recognize why we are doing the Global Spotlight and why we chose Mr. Utrilla as a successful executive, born and raised in Peru, but he's doing an amazing job here for our states. Please welcome Mr. Utrilla.
Thank you, Maritza, for the wonderful introduction. I just want to start by giving a full support to what Professor Brad was saying. I remember being a student at Weber State, and they do have similar lectures there, and they call it the night lecture series. And I remember going every single time to those lectures, and one of the things that was my favorite thing to do was to go to the lunches. And for me, believe it or not, out of my studies at the university, that I did learn more about those executive lectures, and I create more networks and create better value for my attendance at college at going to those lectures than anything else I attended. So that was the best. So if you're in business, I just wanted to tell you that for me, this was the most important thing that I still remember, that I still have some of those relationships. In fact, one of the things that you can get is to get intimate with the person that is going to speak, ask some questions, and like he was saying, there are some internship opportunities that a speaker have at their company, like I do. I do have internship opportunities, and many times, those people that start as an interns, they end up working for my company. But more important, and this is something that perhaps you probably don't know, is that those interns that I don't hire, I recommend them to work for companies that I have good friends in other organizations. Like, for example, many of the interns I have now work for the Department of State, they work for Goldman Sachs, they work for Blendtec, and many big organizations, because I have those relationships. And one of the things I want you to know, and you probably already know this, is that when it comes to job search, relationships is everything almost. So make sure to take advantage of this wonderful program that Professor Bragg has here. This perhaps is the most important thing that you will have in these 4 years of school that you have, or even if you're doing your master's. This is a key. It was a key for me, at least. So how many of you are thinking or have already a business? One. Okay, so few of you are thinking about having your own business. And how many of you want to be, are here for the business school? Okay, so the great majority. So let me, I will speak to the two groups, I guess. And of course, at the end, I want to leave some time for you to ask me questions and be very candid. Ask me anything, even especially things I have not talked about. So I would like to start. I was already introduced by Professor Sotomayor, so I'm not going to speak much about myself. I am the honorary consul of Peru. However, I'm not here to speak today about my diplomatic job. I'm going to speak about business. That's what I'm going to do. So if you have questions about the consulate, we can talk about that. The only thing I will say is that we do have internship opportunities also at the consulate. And if you are looking into a career into the Department of State or into international business, this is something that will really help you. A lot of times, and if you're looking at perhaps going to do your master's degrees or getting a scholarship, serving at the consulate is going to open the doors to many things to you. So you can talk with me about opportunities there to work at the consulate. We do have a relationship with Utah Valley University where you can receive credits for working at the consulate. So our company, I started my business, like you probably have heard that multiple times, from my basement apartment. I immigrated to the United States in 1994. I didn't speak English at all, nothing. And in fact, many people thought I was a crazy person because they say, how can you start a translation company when you yourself don't even speak English? And so I was now starting from zero. I was starting from below zero. And that's something that, it was a big challenge. That was true. And yes, I was a little bit crazy too. That's another thing that was true. Nevertheless, I had a passion and I have that determination to have this business. How did I come up with the idea? One of the things that I recognized when I came to this country was the importance of and the blessing to be able to communicate. Obviously, that was my challenge. I couldn't communicate with people. I couldn't speak to them, and I couldn't understand them. And I thought how frustrating was that, and how unproductive it was that. It was basically stopping my progress. So immediately, I enrolled to the ESL program at Weber State University because I did recognize that speaking English was going to be the key for me to do anything in this country, or anything perhaps in the business world. As I was doing that, I thought, you know what, there may be many companies out there that are doing international business that perhaps they have the same challenge that I have. Meaning that when they go to, for example, to do business in Europe, they don't speak maybe French or German, and they have this same issue that I have, and the same problem, so I may be able to provide a service where I can help them communicate. One thing I did understand was how important it was to communicate, and communicate correctly. So this idea, it was first a seed, and that seed started to grow, and I became almost obsessed with the idea. I did a lot of research, and of course found that there were not that many companies here in the state of Utah providing this service. That's about 20 years ago. And and the market was big. So I said, hey, one more company, I don't think it's going to hurt. We can share the pot there with everybody else. So I did that. And then I founded US Translation Company. So I would like to speak a little bit about our mission. This is the mission that I created in 1995, and I still have the same mission, and that is to help our clients enter new markets and increase sales in existing markets by breaking barriers in communications and understanding. That was the goal back then, and that's still the goal today. It's very important, if you want to start a business, to start with a mission. I think that will help you to have a laser focus approach, and you can do things around this mission. It is very important also for, if you want to work for a company, for you to know what is their mission, and you to buy or basically take ownership of that mission too. If you find that there is a mission if you don't share the mission of the company, maybe that's not the right company for you. I want to speak about the next one is the same concept, and that is values. Values is so critical too. Our values in our company are respect, integrity, and discipline. We use these values to hire people, to promote people, and to fire people too. We don't negotiate when it comes to that. Either you are respectful, you have a great deal of honesty or integrity, and you are disciplined about your work, or there is no place for you at the company. Either you self-eliminate yourself, or either we tell you that we don't need you anymore. However, the more important thing here is that if you go by this, you are going to be able to make a career in the company, grow, and not just in our company. Even if you were to move to a different direction, if you take those values with you at any workplace, you will be always appreciated, and you will be always ahead of the game. The next thing I wanted to talk is about vision. That's another thing that you should make sure that you understand to have if you're opening your business, or to understand if you're going to be working for a company. What is their vision? Our vision we will be recognized as a global leader in the language service industry by providing precision global communication with white glove customer service, having a one-team work atmosphere, being financially healthy, having the highest ratio of revenue per employee, using the latest technology in the industry, and having satellite offices around the world. That is our vision. Many of those things, we already have it, and some of those things we are working towards. It gives you direction. Direction is so important. When you don't have direction or a goal or something to see in the horizon, it becomes very difficult. It's the same thing in school. You have the goal to graduate. But in order to graduate, you have to take certain classes, and you have to obtain certain grades to pass those classes. So it is the same thing. You have to have a map to complete something that you want to do. Next thing is culture. Culture is something that every single company has it. Even if you don't have it spelled, it's there. Now, you better have it spelled, because then that means that you have control of your culture. But this is something so critical that you have, and that you must know when you enter into a company. Our culture in our company, we have a culture of accountability. We are people that like to exceed expectations. There is a bunch of pleasers in my company. We just love to go above and beyond. And the next thing is proactivity. We don't wait for somebody to tell us what to do. We are looking for opportunities or ways that we can do things much more efficient, much more productive, and we have always this can-do attitude. So that's about our culture. Our company is, how many of you are familiar with the translation industry? Well, okay, there is few of you that are so translations is just one area of the actual language industry. The language industry has more items. Translation is basically written documentation. Anything that is written and then needs to be translated into another language, that is what is called translation. Then you have interpretation. Interpretation is verbal and even split in two. Consecutive interpretation is what you see on the courts or doctor's appointments, and then it goes to simultaneous interpretation, and that's why it goes to those international conferences like the United Nations conferences, or even some of those multi-level companies that are around this area. They bring people from all over the world, and everybody wears headsets so they can hear the speaker in their own language. So we provide that service. Machine translation is something very, it's a new technology. It's not a new technology actually, but it's a technology that have improved quite a bit lately, and it's giving great results too. I'm not going to speak too much about that, but if you want to speak with me more about it, I'm more than happy to answer a question at the end on that. Post-editing, localization. Localization is basically a sexy word that people like to use for translations. When you say localizations, basically you're trying to tell the people, I know what I'm talking about. So it's adapting, basically. Anyway, transcription, voiceovers, and language instruction, too. Those are the services that we provide. We are considered a language service provider rather than just a translation company. It is very important when you have a company, or when you are going to be looking into working for a company, about how credible they are. And credibility doesn't come by me telling you, hey, I'm good. No. Credibility is when a third party validates that. And how a third party can validate that is just by different ways. One way is by awards, for example. These are some of the awards that we have received in the last few years, from the Best State to the Inc. 5000. I wanted to talk a little bit more about this Inc. 5000 and perhaps even this Mountain West. As you know, since 2008, to 2000, to just recently even, we have what is called a great, not depression, but a great recession. So a lot of businesses were not doing well. The economy in the country and in the entire world was upside down. But despite of that, our company, we did perform very well. We were, as you can see, one of the best performing companies in the nation. We were growing every single year since during that recession. We grew enormously, double numbers all the time. Why is that? Because we had a determination that this was not going to affect us, and because we say, you know what, this is an opportunity for us to show our value proposition. In fact, there was some competitors of mine that came to me and we just talk and say, you know what, in order to survive, we need to reduce our prices. And just have to basically, so we can survive on this. And I told them, no, I'm not going to change my price. Because I believe that what people, because of this economy, they're going to be more careful how they spend their money. They don't want to say, I'm going to go with the cheapest option, because the cheapest option can turn to be the most expensive option. They didn't have that luxury, these international corporations. So these companies decided to say, okay, I'm just going to go lower because I don't agree with that. I think everybody's going to look for what is the lowest. So at the end, what happened is that I am still in business, my company is still in business, and those companies, they are not anymore in business. Again, value is something very important. What is your value proposition? We focus on quality. And one thing that we always say to our people is that we are not the lowest cost, we are the lowest risk. Another thing that I like to say to people also is that I would rather be famous for being good than for being cheap, too. So some of those things that you may want to consider as you look into getting into the workplace value. So I did mention the importance of quality. This was the reason why we have been growing. Well, there are many reasons actually, but keeping quality has been something very important for us. The next one is service, customer service. You need to show that you care for your customers. If not just by doing what they are asking you to do, but also by being proactive about it, maybe asking, is there something else I can do for you? Or maybe don't wait for them to tell you, you do something. You are proactive on doing something that they will appreciate. Like, for example, in our case, most of the times people need things yesterday. And there is a sense of urgency on everything they do. A lot of times, we complete the projects earlier than they expect. And they always say, hey, thank you so much for having this document. It really helps me to have this extra time to have these documents translated earlier. Or, for example, not too long ago, there was this big event from one of these local multi-level companies here, and the president stand up and say, I really want to thank our translation company for being able to pass the message so good that we have kept everybody here enthusiastic about this event. So that is a recognition, that's a value that you're adding, and you want to make sure that you create this type of partnership relationship with your customers. And the next one is efficiency. You have to be efficient, and you have to find efficient ways for you to do things better, and also to pass that efficiencies to your customers. Again, they are your partners. When you have a partner, you are not just looking what is best for you, but what is best for your client or your partner. You create this way a win-win situation, and when you have a win-win situation, you have something that is sustainable. So you create loyalty that way. Many of our customers, we have them since we opened the business. They're still with us. So, and it's because of these things that I'm mentioning. Challenges, every business, every person in life have challenges. Some of the challenges that we have is building trust. When I started the business, besides not being able to speak English very well, I had a challenge that I didn't have any history or any credibility or any network or any past experience in the industry, even here in the United States, nothing. So when I went to talk with some of these customers, they basically say, you know what, I'm sorry, these materials that we have are very critical, we cannot take any risk. So a lot of doors were closing on me. Finally, one organization say, you know what, I'm going to give you the opportunity, but if you, here is some manuals, if you do the translation well, I will pay you. If you don't do it well, I don't pay you. And I will send it to our office that we have in this other country to revise it. So for me, that was, hey, this is my greatest opportunity. So I did that work, and then the client called me. Hey, I need to meet with you. I have the results. When I drove to that company, it was my longest drive in my life. I was just thinking, this is it. I got there, and this person said to me, you know what? The people that review the document say that everything looks great. In fact, I have these other manuals to give you. And that's how we started, by basically getting more referrals through this person, and but we build the credibility first. Competition, there will be competitors, and competitors is something actually very good. It's very healthy. A lot of people say, oh, sure, there's another competitor. You should be happy about that. Why? Because competitors are the people that basically demonstrate that you're good. There is a point of comparison now. So the more comparisons there, the more you can showcase your value. So I embrace actually competition. Competition is wonderful. Economy, as I already spoke about, and there is no easy button to success. Really, you just have to work hard. if you're trying to do shortcuts and things like that, I have learned that you are wasting more of your time. And probably you have heard stories, hey, I did this, and in a couple months, I basically was financially independent. You know what, those stories are, in most cases, are not, number one, not true, and if happens to be true, is extremely rare. It's probably, you probably didn't get the whole story, really, well, what happened. These are some of the clients that we have, and basically, it's a proven expertise. It's not just one company or two or three, there are multiple companies. Probably some of the companies that you see there are companies that you recognize, and we do a lot of critical work for them. All of these companies are international corporations, and we help them when it comes to communications, when it comes to expansion of their services or their products. That's what we do for them. And it's very exciting for me to be able to help this type of caliber of organizations. Many of these, as you can see, are Fortune 500 companies. And it is something that I feel proud, especially when I think about where I'm coming from, how I started everything. The key really for me when it comes to business was surrounding myself with good people. I have wonderful employees. I would say that if you were to come there, you will probably agree with me that most of them are better than me even. And that's good, you know. You want to have people that are great. Again, that's what I was saying. This is a phrase I like. The harder I work, the luckier I get. Surround yourself good people. My mom used to tell me this phrase. I say, tell me with who you walk and I will tell you who you are. Dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. How many of you speak Spanish here? Oh my goodness. Should give the lecture in Spanish. It will make my job easier. Yes. Anyway, but that is a key thing. And that not just apply with the people that you are friends with or you hang out with, that applies also your business network too. That has been very important for me. You will not believe how much this business is about relations. It's just, that is keys. Look professional too. A lot of times people judge you by how you look, by your image. Make sure you look professional, not just by what you're wearing, but also by what you say, especially online. Nowadays, everybody looks online, for other people. Make sure that you look professional. Because if you don't do that, then people will not take you seriously, and people will not respect you, but many times people will not trust you. And when those things are not in place, that's it. You are over. Be honest and ethical. This is very key. You have to be consistent on this. If you are not, your reputation will be ruined in a hurry. Especially nowadays where everything is, we are in a world of technology. Basically, everything that goes on the web is viewed by everybody. If there is an act that you do, that even if it doesn't look correct, that can ruin your reputation. Your reputation is something you have to be very careful. And you have to guard that. Even if you are right now, hey, I'm just a student right now. No, people can go back to the times that perhaps you did something that was not right. So be very careful, have a clean reputation, and even as a student. Be proactive, challenge yourself. Challenges are great. Yes, they're problematic, stressful many times, but they are the things that help you to grow. And those are things that you need. Well, that was my presentation. I would like to spend some time now answering questions, and perhaps on some of your questions I would like to expand a little bit more. So I would like to, yeah, go ahead.
So with, I know with technology changing so much, like with Google Translate, how does it affect your business for translation? I know you still, for preciseness, you need someone to actually physically do it. But.
Wonderful question, and that's what I wanted to talk about machine translation. I'm glad that you asked because I wanted to expand on that. So when I started my business in 1995, at that time there was a new technology called translation memory, TMs. And what the translation memory did was it was a tool that translators were using that can help them to, if they translated a phrase in one way, it helped this translation tool basically found the same phrase through the whole document and pre-translated every time the same way you did it. So what happened is that it did help you to save time and also to keep consistency. So when that technology came at that time, I remember that many translators and many people said, oh my goodness, this is not going to help us, we're going to make less money, and it's going to be a problem for us. And what happened is that this translation tool, it turned to be the best friend of a translator. They became more productive, and they started to actually financially it was much better for them. Then, not too long ago, it came the translation, machine translation. Same thought. Oh, this is going to replace me now. I'm going to have less work. The truth of all this is that there is so much content now. It is impossible for people or for the number of translators that we have in the world to translate all of the content. We only translate not even 10% of the content that is there because it is not humanly possible. But what happened now is a machine translation, and the way that this is going, and Google is one of those, perhaps not the best, they are much better than the Google Translate. What happened now is that the translator, a normal output of a translator is about 2,000 words per day. If they use translation tools, they can go up to 4,000 perhaps words per day. If they use machine translation, now their output can be up to 10,000. Because when you combine a machine translation with a proofreading of a human being, then you make the translation much better. And that's the direction. So basically what I'm trying to say, to answer your question, is that no, it's something wonderful. There is more work now for translators. There is more money now, thanks to machine translation. But that's depending on how you see it. But at this moment, some people, many translators, are not seeing it the way I'm telling you right now. But I am sure that within a short period of time, everybody will love it, including the translators. Any other questions?
You said that one of your values is to communicate and to understand. So you can interpret words first person, but I don't know the language or the culture of what I'm reading. So how do you help the person understand that translation?
That's a very good question too. When we talk about translations, we talk about adapting, really. Because if we translate word by word, it perhaps doesn't make sense. Especially when you're talking about things like, for example, marketing. If a marketing campaign that makes sense here in the United States, that makes sense for these particular demographics, and that you use this certain vocabulary that people understand and relates to, that doesn't mean that the same thing will relate in China, for example, where they don't have similar demographics there. So you have to adapt it to this other language, and that's actually what a lot of people call it localization, adaptation, globalization. It's just a lot of terminology, but really that is what you're looking for. That's what our company does. A good translator should have the ability to do that. That's why it's so critical for the translator to always be a native speaker of the target language. Because you have to be native. There is no way you can speak a language, but there is a lot of cultural things that you will not understand. Now, one thing that I wanted to expand a little bit more even on this is that it's not enough to say that I speak two languages, I am a translator. It's not like because you speak English, now you are a journalist. No. It's not the same thing. For translation, you have to have the educational background, not just speaking two languages, the training to be a translator, and more important actually nowadays is to know the industry. In other words, if I am translating into something that is engineering related, I have to have a good knowledge on that. Many times our translators that translate, for example, into engineering subjects, they are also, in addition to being a linguist, they are also engineers. Because some of these subjects are a language by itself. that even you as an English speaker, if I give you a manual of how to put together, I don't know, an airplane, like for example, we do translation for Boeing, you read the whole thing and you say, I don't know what you guys are talking about. You have to have an engineer that is specializes in aerospace, in our case. And the liability is huge too. A lot of times companies come to us when they feel like they cannot do this and they just don't want to take the liability. So they come to us and they say, you guys do it. Now we take the liability, of course, and we know that a lot of times if we don't translate something right, there is actually the danger that somebody can die. So that's a huge liability. That's why, for me, I don't risk ever quality. Because if I do that, then I can get in trouble, and I don't like to be in trouble. Too stressful. Any other questions? Yes?
What would you say your takeaway message of your presentation is today?
My presentation is to, number one, to showcase my company and the industry that I'm in, but also for you to take certain things, aspects of working, what to look when you are looking for a job in a company. Because it's very important for you when you look at a company that you're looking at making a career. And one thing that I wanted to say is that if you go with your mind, and this is dangerous, hey, I'm just going there just to gain some experience, and that's your only goal, I feel like that's a waste of time. You should find companies where you are not just getting experience, but you are getting promotions, you are making a career. This is something that I was told in one of the seminars I went at the Inc. 5000, and this is truth. This is what I was told, and I have tested, and it works every time. People that graduate from universities, they say that their first job is a job that they take, I just need experience. So they always will leave, they say. The second job is a job that oh, you know what? This is, I think, my career job, and this is, I like it. And then they put a lot of time and energy into that, but then they say, but I think I can do better. So my third job is it. So what I was told always is, and I do this, is that I always try to hire people that this is their third job. Because you don't want to waste your time with the people that are just, this is the first and second. So I'm just trying to give you tips, and by sharing my experience to you. I am also trying to tell you that there is nothing that is easy. Nowadays, there is some type of feeling, especially, and this was not just in this new generation, but even when I was a young guy too, that there is a sense of, I want things right now. I don't want to pay the price. And in fact, sometimes there is a sense of I deserve to have this. I have done to college. In fact, I was going to tell you that an experience I just have. There was an employee that I hired 4 months ago. And he came to me and he said, hey, it has been 3 months, and I would like you to give me a raise. And I asked, okay, so tell me, why should I give you a raise? Well, I knew that you were going to ask me that question, so I have things written down here. I said, oh, great, you can prepare. And he said, yeah, number one, I graduated from BYU. Oh, okay. And, well, that's big university, you know. I said, okay, continue. Number two, I've been here for 3 months. Okay. What else do you have? No, that's it. Oh, okay. So I need to coach him and say, hey, you know what? It doesn't work that way. What you really need to come, you are free to come and talk with me about getting a raise. That's great. But you need to come prepared by saying, I have done this and this and this that have saved the company this amount of money. And I just want, and because of that, I have other plans to basically create some more savings or to promote the company so they can increase the sales even more. And I just want to have a small share of that. And it's possible for me to get that. But you have to present things that I can see. So that is something that I think is important for you as you are in front of your future or your current employer, that you need to show that. If you come up just like that, you are basically showing that you feel that you are entitled to things. And that doesn't go across very well. People that have that sense of entitlement, it's just people dangerous. At least as a business owner, I'm telling you that. Yes?
From the time you had your idea in your basement until the time you got the deal with the guy who actually paid you, how much time was that, and how much money did you invest into it?
Okay, good question. So I started, we had $10,000 to start with, the company. And this was the $10,000 that basically I was living on, so that was to sustain my family too. And it took about 6 to 9 months, I don't remember exactly, to get that particular customer. And it took perhaps about 2 years to create a clientele that was giving consistent business to us. So we were living very poor, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. For us, so going to Burger King was our day, with my wife, my date, and that was basically our treat because we couldn't afford anything else. One thing I also would like to say is that, so I came to United States in 1994. Within 11 months of being here, I got married. 2 months after I got married, I started this company, and then a year after that, I had my first child. So I was attending school at the same time. So there was a lot of things in my life going there. I was only I was sleeping only 4 hours a day, so I can make things work. But I was very driven. I was very passionate about it. I think you need to have that in order to, and believe, of course, what you're doing in order to make something work like that. There is a price to pay, and I believe that I did pay a great price for it, but this really, this is a country of opportunities. I was feeling very blessed to be in this country. I don't think I could have done something like this, perhaps in Peru, for example. So I count my blessings. Anyway, any other questions? Yes?
Why did you pick Utah of all places?
That's a good question too. So I was applying to different universities, and what I was looking as a poor person was for scholarships and for opportunities, perhaps where a place where I can even have work study, where I can be working there too. And I was a missionary in Peru, and one of my mission companions was from Utah, and he helped me to get a scholarship at Weber State University. So, when I came, his parents did offer me to live with them too. So, it was convenient, let's just say it that way. Yes. Any other question? Yes.
Are there any opportunities that you're questioning if someone speaks English, or are you always looking for?
You know what? Great question. I'm glad that you asked that question because if you come to my office, no one in the office does translations. Everybody that is there at the office is doing management, coordination of the projects, everything. And many people, some of the people, they don't speak any other foreign language. They only speak English. But they are great managers. They like this international flavor that we have there, and they like to help companies to be able to communicate with other companies around the world. So no, you don't need to speak a foreign language to work for our company. All of our translators, which we have about 4,000 linguists around the world that are under contract working for us, they work from their homes. But the management and the people doing coordinations and the supporting staff, they work in our office in downtown Salt Lake City. So any of you that are interested in perhaps being an intern in a company like ours, I will be more than happy to have you there. And like I say, a lot of times I end up hiring those people that work for us. And if I don't hire you, you can tell me, hey, I'm interested in this industry or in this particular company, and most likely, if it's in Utah, I will have a connection with them. and I can probably introduce you and help you to get a job there. I have done that multiple times. Any other question? Yes,
What part of Peru are you from?
Lima,
Where in Lima?
Polo Libre.
Where do you live? De la Molina.
Ah, good. Fellow Peruvian here. I think we're good.
Well, good. I think, is that all the questions? Good. Let's give David Utrilla a hand.